I just wanted to come on here and talk to everybody
As mayor, I will call for the city to
and see how everybody's doing today.
current rate.
Just checking in. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. It's actually a really pretty day today. It's like an awesome day. It's beautiful outside right now. Um, so I just wanted to come on here and tell everybody hi and hope everybody's doing all right. I did want to maybe speak about, I guess, the ancestors. I don't know if you're spiritual, you know. I'm really into spirituality. If y'all know, y'all know. I want to talk about the ancestors, and feel free to, feel free to jump in or whatever, the case is. So anyway, a lot of the ancestors, a lot of our ancestors, the Orishas, Egypt. We have a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I can't really like think of all of them off the bat. A lot of them have a really they've had a really bad rap, right? Because a lot of them, everybody thinks that our ancestors are evil and stuff, and a lot of when we hear about spirits and spirituality and our ancestors, people see that as evil, right? Like, oh my God, conjure up your ancestors, oh that's evil, and conjure up spirits, oh that's evil, conjure up, ancestors, just what the society has made us fear our spirituality, made us fear that we are spirit first. We are spirit first. We're spirit first, right? Before anything else. And we're spirit first for anything else. And I just want to let y'all know that, society as people started taking over a lot of our ancestors, the slavery, all that stuff that came in, you know, um, they stopped a lot of our spiritual beliefs, right? And what they did was they cut that out to make it seem like it was evil, right? Basically, and they want us to be more religious. That's when the religions came in, right? And they stopped a lot of our spiritual beliefs, like a lot of the rituals that we do, or cleansings or sage. A lot of people want to say that it's evil, and that's not the case. It's spirituality. You know what I mean? Those are our beliefs. A lot of the things what they try to do, like the Orishas too, like rituals and stuff. That's how we connected to Mother Earth, to the spirit, the unseen, right? The realms we don't see, stuff like that. That's how we became close to them, right? Because we kept that spirituality going. When we would do our dances, and we do our dances, we do our spiritual, our incense, when we do our saging, when we do our verbal affirmations, when we do all that stuff is spiritual, right? When we do our rituals, however y'all do your rituals, and over time, like our ancestors, a lot of us, when how can I say it, when the people that sat there and cut out a lot of our spiritual, they cut out our spiritual beliefs, and over time a lot of that stuff got diminished, right? And it started being religion, and people started making it seem like spirituality was evil and you were conjuring up demons. Just a real quick little information I want to give y'all. They say angels and demons, and y'all don't listen, y'all can look it up. Angels are categorized in the demon category. So y'all can look that up. Angels and demons, it doesn't matter. It just really matters what side they're working on. And another thing is that our spirituality, like a lot of their beliefs, like people believe that a lot of our ancestors were evil, like the Orishas were evil. Like before I had opened up to spirituality, I honestly thought that all those not conjuring up, but speaking to your ancestors, speaking to a spirit realm, that it was evil. It wasn't. It was dangerous, and that's bad, and that's not true. The thing is, we're spiritual before we're physical, right? And like a lot of our ancestors, like, okay, for instance, the Orishas, the Egyptian gods, all of them, they were all spirits. They were all energies. People want to make it look like if they were. Can y'all tap the screen if y'all here? Please, I'd appreciate it so my algorithm can go up. So anyway, a lot of the stuff that they've done is what happened was a lot of the people that were using our ancestors and their energies, right, to do bad things, which was a lot of evil stuff. Like they would conjure up they would conjure up their orishas, or they conjure up, the ancestors, but to do evil things, to have them, do this and that, and send bad juju here, bad juju there. And the thing is, that's how they got branded, or labeled as evil. And a lot of the people that were using these energies and these entities, they were using them for bad. And so it wasn't even so much that, it's not the energies and the entities, it's how you call upon them, invoke them, and use them, right? If you want to try to use them for evil, that's what's going to happen, right? They're going to go out, and you give them offerings, and you do whatever you do, like however you deal with your ancestors and your angels, and you send them out to do this and that for you. They're going to do your bidding, because their energies, they're conjured up by you. The thing is, it's the person itself that calls in causing these, particular energies, entities, whatever you want to call them. I mean, however you all address them. I call them as ancestors because we are basically really all connected, right? I mean, honestly, we're really all connected. We're all connected. All these energies and entities, we're all one, and we're all one. We're all connected. They've cut out a lot of that stuff. They made it seem as if though, um, can y'all like my life? If y'all could like the live, that'd be awesome. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. I mean, a lot of our ancestors back in the day, they have really bad raps. I have to look at my stuff, and I'll come back later on. But they have really bad raps, right? Like, I don't have any makeup on, but I'm still beautiful, so I don't care. Anyway, I'm just kidding, guys. I just want to let y'all know that. So anyway, a lot of times these energies were conjured up, or they were invoked to do the will of the person that wanted whatever work done for them right at the time. And really, it's like this, like, we really got to study our ancestors, and we got to study, you know our ancestors, right? And the people that we think that, or the things that we think were bad. And oh, like you heard about, the Santa Muerte, for one. She gets a bad rap. you know um who's the other one? There's also, there's a couple of them. I can't really think of. There's a couple of them. I'm trying to think of the other one. Not Ogun, but there's another one. I don't know if y'all know which one it is. He's also an Orisha, and he's like, they also use him. That he's real bad, and it's really depends on the people that are conjuring and invoking these spirits, and what they ask him to do on their behalf. And they've had a real bad rap. Like, everybody sees all of our ancestors. People are scared to invoke our ancestors for help, because the people back in the day, when they would conjure them up and ask them to come forth, they'd use them to do evil things, right? To send them out to do really bad stuff. You know what I mean? And like Chongo. Chongo's another one. That was just off the top of my head. They the people that have used these entities and energies, they're the ones that used them in bad ways. You know, it was more like, it was, how can you call it? Like, how we have slavery in the physical realm. Well, there's also slavery in the spiritual realm. You know what I mean? It just, that's how it was. We've been spiritually oppressed for a very long time. Me, I'm Native American. I'm Mexican. You know what I mean? And I'm also Spaniard. You know what I mean? It's, how it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, and the thing is that, we as people need to start understanding and open our eyes, that we try to use these spirits to do bad things. Well, not everybody, but the people that do dark magic, to try to alter people's lives or disrupt people's lives when they're on their spiritual path, and that's a big no-no. There are universal laws that people need to respect, and a lot of them don't because they either don't know about them or they just don't care, you know. And the thing I'm trying to say is that the people that use these spirits and these entities and our ancestors to conjure up and to do bad things, it was the people that have done them, not the spirits themselves. Now, I know that there are some ancestors that are dark and they, you know, they practice out of, they practice what they're practicing and what they're trying to do, like I said, to alter and falter and and get in other people's paths or block their paths or alter their paths or whatever, right? Which is a big no-no. You don't do that. Well, they use those entities and energies to do their bidding, right? Because if you can't see it, you can't get blamed in the 3D. But little do people know they're bidding, right? Because if you can't see it, you can't get blamed in the 3D. But little do people know everything that happens in the 3D, it happens in the spiritual realm first. So that's another thing I need to. I mean, it's just like I cannot say that enough. Everything that happens in the 3D, it happens in the spiritual realm first. So when people go out there and they're be in their bathrooms or their bedrooms or wherever behind closed doors, doing all these rituals of blood rituals, and that's a whole nother. I don't do black magic. I don't do that. I do speak affirmations. I do like candles, but I do them for peace in my surroundings, protection in my surroundings. I also do them for everybody in general, like especially the children. I ask for protection and healing for the children in this world. I've never done black magic or dark magic or magic for bad or to alter anybody's life or to hinder anybody's path, right? I've never done that, and I'll never do that because I know that that's all that is karma that comes back to you. Whatever you do in the spiritual, I mean, everything. Like I have been oppressed. Like I'm awakened now. I know who I am. I've been oppressed by my family, and I'm going. I know I'm back at this again, but I have to say this. God keeps telling me to keep speaking upon everything that is going on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking upon this constantly until not just me, but the children, the light workers, because truly we're constantly in spiritual warfare, constantly. So we have to know that we're always in spiritual warfare, and even the smallest thing, which would be like anything between habits to the way you treat others, to have not healing or having still like being oppressed or having your mindset is still in whatever it is, and if it's in the lower kind of vibrational kind of area, then those are also like openings of your aura, your spirit, and that's where the evilness comes in, and it sort of manipulates either your mind or your spirit. Well, spirit is mind, your mind is spirit, and that's where it alters your way of thinking, and you can either be down or happy or sad or whatever the case is, to where it alters your way of thinking, your way of behaving, your way of treating others, your way of succeeding, you know, and the long and at the end of it, in the end of the day, how you end up living your life. And people say it's not real, but it really is truly real. When people try to hinder you by doing spells and rituals and all that, BLOOD magic. I forgot I couldn't do certain things on TikTok because they're real. Okay, well, it's true that spiritual for so real, and people need to be mindful. Like you want to sit there and do go and unalive cats so you can do certain things, and you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to come on here real quick, and I just wanted to kind of say that our ancestors, they were treated very very they were used for things that it was more like what is the word, it was more like they got a bad rap due to how they were being used, and everybody now defines our ancestors, whether it be Egyptian ancestors, whether it be, the Orishas, we have, there's a lot of ancestors. I know there's more than that, but I'm just stating the two that I could think off my head, you know. But it's just, how can I say it? Like, people, they need to be more. Y'all need to wake up, because um, like the religious people. Like, I'm not against religion. You know what I mean? I used to be Christian and stuff, but they want to make, a lot of the religions will tell you that talking to your ancestors, or invoking, your ancestors for protection, that's evil, and that is not true. That is not true. It depends on how a person uses their uses their ancestors, or invokes their ancestors. That's really what it is. And I just want people to be mindful, because I had this message come to me stating that they want their reputation. Ancestors want, the reputation to be cleared. They don't want to be branded as evil, and a lot of the people that were in power, the people that took over many, many moons ago, right? Um, they chose to cut us off from our spirituality. They made us depend on them. They it was all about power. Basically, it was really all about power. And it's sad, because a lot of people, like, when you talk about speaking to your ancestors, or talking to your ancestors, oh my God, that's evil, and this and that, and that's not true. When I'm still, like, looking, I'm still doing a lot of research into it, the ancestors, but they're not bad, so we need to understand that everything, like I said, we're spirit before we're physical, right? And you know the people that are religious, they believe in Jesus. I believe in Yeshua, yes. And they believe in God. These are spirits that they can't see, so they know that it's a spiritual form, right? That they believe in. They want us to pray to that, but then they don't want us to spirits that they can't see, so they know that it's a spiritual form, right? That they believe in. They want us to pray to that, but then they don't want us to pray to anything else besides that, which is, I think, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but this is just how I feel, and I have a right to my opinion and how I see it. That's just me. I just feel like, you know this world has been going on for a very long time, and there was other ascended masters, besides Yeshua. There was more, and we're all, there was a many more that were all light workers, right? We have a lot more, and those are our ancestors, and we should honor all of them, and know that all of our ancestors, spirits are around us. They're around us all the time. Spirits are around us constantly. Energies are around us constantly. And if the veil, if you're not, if you could see it, you could see it in me. I feel them. I could feel energy. I feel energy on a constant level. I could feel it. um you have to understand that this everything is illusion. We only see it for what's in front of us, because it's a projection of what our minds are producing, right? Basically, but all this is an illusion. you know Spirit is mind. I don't know if y'all know about the Kabbalion, but if y'all read up on that, you know esotericism, Christ consciousness, it's real. It's about oneness. It's about us being whole with ourselves. Like, right now, I am single, and I'm not lonely. I'm grateful that I have this time to myself, because of the simple fact that I got to figure out and know who I really was in God, what my purpose was, what my purpose is. And I honor the unseen realms, because we came from there. We're all from there. We all have a mission. We all have a purpose. And before I could sit there and and love somebody else, or like, be, in some kind of, commitment with anybody else, I had to learn to love myself. I had went through so many problems with all these people that I was with and who I was around, and I never got to know me. You know what I mean? So oneness, is oneness. Know yourself. Love yourself first before you tend to go out and want to love the world. And I was brought up, thinking that God wanted me to make everybody happy and people please everybody. And that's how I was doing good for God. Honestly, I thought that that's what I had to do. And for years, I was people pleasing. Like I mean, it's so crazy because once I sobered up and once I totally surrendered, and I said, God, I'm here to do your will. It was like, you know, I told him to heal. I surrender, heal me, whatever. I just constantly surrender to him. I would speak out surrender to him every day because I know that you can't surrender in one day and you're going to be healed. It doesn't work that way. Healing is a constant thing, especially in this realm. And I honestly think that this earth is a learning. This is a learning realm and a suffering realm. But we really got to surrender to our divinity inside, to the God within, because we're a part of Him, right? All of us, everybody who's right now in this on this realm, all of us have God inside us. He's not at the temple. He's not, he's not in a backyard. He's not in a statue. He's not in a. He's in here. He's in here. He's in here with us, and He's a spirit. So back to what I was saying about the ancestors and all that, like what I'm trying to say, my point is that, we need to start getting back to spirituality. We need to start getting back to our roots, and we need to start honoring our ancestors. They are not anything to be scared of. They're not evil. They're not, a demonic. The demonic energies are the energies that we play out in this world with other people, with ourselves. And that, to me, that is demonic. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a bad way. I'm not, and that's our behaviors. That our behaviors, like hurting people, hurting ourselves, doing bad things, stealing, all that stuff, right? All that bad jazz, right? All of us doing all that stuff. That is what makes things demonic. Those are demonic energies we display to others and to ourselves, and whatever it is we're doing that we shouldn't be doing, that's not of God, right? Now, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's pure. Nobody's whatever. We're not, you know, we try our best to do what we can. If we're really walking with God, if we're really walking with God, if we're really walking with God, I'm going to say, I can't say that enough, then we're going to do what is right, what's good, what we're supposed to be doing, right? Not what we think, okay, to me, all right, I'm going to go and be nice to this person, but I'm going to go home and beat up on my kids. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to go to church on Sunday and then go home and go cheat on my husband. You can't do that, because the thing is, you can. I mean, people do it every day. But what I'm trying to say is God sees everything. The Spirit sees everything. The Spirit sees everything. And you can lie to people and say whatever you want to say, right, all day long to people, like, yeah, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this. But then, at the end of the day, God sees it. So you can sit there and have the facade of you being a perfect mother or you being a perfect wife, but you still got to answer to the Most High. And the thing is that God is not against you talking to your ancestors. God is not against you, you know, if you invoke your ancestors, or if you invoke, you have to invoke them with, righteousness in your heart. Like, if you want to, like your grandmother, that's an ancestor. Like your aunt that died, your great grandpa. I'm talking about the ancestors of the old, like we're our bloodline. I'm talking about our bloodline, like our ancestors. Like, I'm talking about our ancestors from way back when, like from Egypt. You know what I mean? From Africa. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, and we're all related. We are all related. We're all one. We're all one, regardless of the skin color. So that skin color crap, that needs to just go out the door, because that's what the people in this world did. They created it to make it look like it was a race thing, and it wasn't a race thing. It was a power thing. People wanted power. They placed people against people. They made it into a color thing, and that's not what it was. It wasn't even about color. It was about good, and it really is about good and evil, and about people wanting power in this realm. people wanting money and making other people have to bow down to them and pay bills and have debt in this world. This land is our land, no matter what. The natives, I'm native. This is our land. This is our land. The fact that we have to be here and pay for mortgage and pay taxes is crazy to me because of the simple fact that this is our land. You know what I mean? God put this earth here for everybody, not just for, these people to, rule these people and have taxes and have this and have that. I mean, it's getting crazy. Back in the day when the natives were before the reservations and all that, and it was just our land, we had bartering. We didn't have CPS. Everybody helped each other out. They had medicine men, like another thing they call alternative medicine. Herbals. No, that's not alternative. That's the real medicine. That was the real medicine. They need to call on prescriptions and pills and bottles. Big pharma. That's what you call alternative medicine, because that wasn't the original medicine. Everything that we had, the medicine men and the medicine women, the medicine, they would cure you with things, from the backyard, herbs and everything that was healthy and it was grown from the earth, and that was real medicine. That was real medicine. That wasn't that wasn't something that you had to go in a lab and put together whatever you wanted to put together, all these things, and put them in a bottle and sell it. That's not how it was. It wasn't like that back in the day. And I mean, the bartering is another thing. A person who farms, a person who hunts, all these things. A person who sews, they would get together and they'd barter. Those are the days that we do not have anymore. Everybody's gotten so materialistic. Everybody's so worried about cars and mansions. You know what I mean? And it's not about that. It's about us being in unity. And people aren't seeing that. People don't care. People are too busy, partying. And, I know I was there too. I was in the same space of partying and not caring. And, but now I value myself so much more. And if women knew, like a lot of the women that are walking their spiritual path and they're on the spiritual temple, they know. If they know, they know. They know that. And like I said, healing is constant. We never stop healing because we always learn something every day. And the fact, like I said, the fact about the medicine, that right there really freaks me out. How they have you pay for medicine. It's crazy when you can just get herbs and get the natural herbs that they have. You can even grow them. I'm growing my own herbs. I grow my own herbs outside. You know what I mean? And so I can use them for my own healing, for my own, medicinal purposes. And I don't need to go and buy all this stuff from big pharma and make them money. For that, I can make my own herbs and sell them. Now I'm not. That's going off of the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is that we need to honor our ancestors. We need to start putting out there that people are spiritual. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We need to start telling people that our ancestors weren't evil, they weren't bad. Our ancestors helped us. They helped me. My ancestors are protecting me from so many people that are trying to do, their black magic or whatever you want to call it, which is really silly because, if you have the Most High God, it doesn't matter what they throw at you because it's not going to work. And universal laws, whatever you put out comes back to you, okay? So by me telling you that, that means if you're sitting there conjuring up voodoo dolls and unaliving spells and mirror spells and all these other stupid things that y'all are doing, that comes right back to you. And y'all got to be mindful. And I guess, or maybe y'all just don't care. I'm not sure, but hey, whatever. Or maybe y'all just trying to prove a point to your little squad or your little occult thing. If you believe in God and you believe in Him, you have faith, not faith, excuse me, knowing that He's there for you and you're trying to do your best to walk the path, that temple path that you have, and live in your purpose and you're doing your mission. God will protect you from anything that comes your way, and I mean anything. And you got to believe it because it's true. Now you can't be warm where you're sitting there and yeah, I believe in God, isn't that, and then later on you're over there, not so much of not so much of drinking and partying, but more of like being evil on the other end, turning around and being evil or doing conniving things or stealing, and then come and say, "Oh God, praise God," and it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? And you can sit in the church every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday for the next 10 years. But if you go home and you're not like that and you're a totally different person, God sees that. You can't be back and forth. You know what I mean? God doesn't honor that. And God doesn't have a problem with you wanting to, ask your ancestors for protection or for help, or you know what I mean, to help you heal. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. God, and those are his angels. Those are angels that, you call upon. They're all angels. If they're in the good graces with God, God will send them to you. And people can sit there and say whatever they want. That no, don't study this. I study religions. I study spirituality, Hinduism. I study you know, I study Islam. I study. I'm not Tao. I'm not. I don't hate on religions. I don't hate on spiritual beliefs, because at the end of the day, it's all connected to one Most High that we're trying to not be like. We need to be like ourselves, because God He's a piece of us in this realm, experiencing this realm through us, right? So we have to strive to better ourselves every day to get closer to the all. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what I'm doing. I guess everybody has their own destiny, their own purpose, their own mission. That's just personally what I'm doing. I'm doing His will. I'm doing His will. I'm living in my purpose as best as I can. Yet I know that I'm human. And I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna lie. I cuss. And I do tell God, please help me to stop cussing, because I used to cuss like a sailor. Let me tell you, I don't cuss like that anymore. But I'm not perfect, right? Nobody is. I just want people to know that there's nothing wrong with you calling on your ancestors. I have ancestors from Egypt. I have Orisha ancestors as well. And depending on the person, calling on certain energies and entities and using them for bad, it's on the person. It's not on the entity or the energy. They have gotten so much bad rap. So I'm saying this because this came to me. This came to me to. I want to also emphasize to whoever's watching me, if y'all are spiritual and y'all know about Orishas, and y'all know about our ancestors, to try to put it out there about our ancestors, to try to let people know about them, because they want us to let them know that our ancestors were not as evil as everybody says they are. You know what I mean? Like, they made it seem like they were, and I'm not gonna lie, because before I awoke into my spiritual calling, I thought the same way. I thought that all the ancestors were. I thought there was demons, and there. Well, angels are demons too. I'm not even gonna. Well, I'm not gonna go there. It depends on how you use that entity and how you invoke it and what you ask of it. So I'm just letting y'all know that our ancestors, they would like us to, not speak bad on them. And then a lot of the people that are invoking bad things and doing and asking energies and entities to do this and do that, and they're calling them and giving them offerings. That's not gonna be good. All I'm gonna say is that's not gonna turn out good. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care if you've been a voodoo, hoodoo, or whatever you want to call yourself in, whatever culture in, or whatever group, or you can't beat God, and you can't beat the light either. So if you can't beat him, you might as well start healing, and just do what's right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even, if you're something that you don't have or you wish you had that somebody else has, don't be jealous. Don't be envious. Just ask God, what can I do to obtain this? What do I have to do? It's not that hard. It's really not. The thing is, envy and jealousy, these two eyes on our face, these can cause us a lot of trouble. Our covetousness is ridiculous on this realm. It's ridiculous. And it's crazy, because people will sit there and hate on people for actually for a materialistic thing, for a car, for a female or a man, for power, for money that they don't have. They want it. So what do? Oh, I'm going to go and I'm put a spell, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you know what? You don't take any of that when you die. When you pass this realm, your flesh doesn't even go with you. Nothing but your spirit. So you need to do what's right while you're here now. God has us here to see how if we're gonna live in our purpose and if we're gonna do our mission, if we're gonna come to Him and say, you know what, God, I surrender. I want to do right now. And if you don't, you don't. And if you do, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to push spirituality on anybody, but it is what it is. And that's how I feel. And no one's going to change my mind about my spirituality. No one's going to change the fact that I believe in the Most High God and I believe in unseen realms. I believe in in the unknown. I believe in the unseen. I believe in ancestors. I believe in energies. I believe in vibration. I believe in all that. I don't have a boxed in, thought pattern of, oh, God is outside and God is in the air. And, I can't talk about, some other religion because that's demonic. That's demonic. That's not true. That's the thing about the constructs and the mentality that this world has put us in for so long. We need to break out of it because it's not helping us. It's just making this world a lot worse. And it's not even the world; it's the people in it that are choosing not to change, choosing not to see their dark side, or call it a shadow, or their demons, or face their demons, or however you want to address your pain and your stuff you're not healed from. Depending on how, if you don't want to deal with it, you know what I mean, and you keep it bottled up, that turns into, it festers into bad, right? And you're just not happy with your life and you end up wanting to hurt others because of that, or yourself, whatever the case is. I'm just trying to emphasize to people that our ancestors are really, they're not what people are thinking of them. They're not all bad. They're not, and I'm gonna try to do my best to honor the ancestors and like just about like Amin Ra. A lot of people have real bad. Oh, Amin Ra was evil and this and that, and and I mean, I'm not. I mean, let me tell you something. Maybe he wanted to be in control. Maybe I mean, I'm still looking into a lot of stuff. Like I'm not perfect. I'm still also learning. It's the way of the thought of Amin Ra, right? Like him, and then also to like, okay, like Chango, like people, oh, that's a bad, he's a demon, he's bad. Y'all gotta look at it. Nobody's perfect, even when they were alive. If they were just a thought, or if they were actual people here, you know. I mean, the thing is, you gotta look into it and how it's used and how the entities were, because if Amin Ra was at some point a leader, he must have been doing something right for a little while, right? Before he did turn, wherever he turned, if he did turn that way, if he turned dark or whatever the case was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they were entities and energies just like us. Like now, none of us are perfect. And we got to look at it like that too, because all of us have downfalls. Sometimes people aren't strong enough to live out, to be as righteous as they could possibly be. A lot of people, they're not able to live that out, right? Or whatever the case is in their situation at that time, whatever was going on. And a lot of us need to understand that not all of our ancestors were bad. Not all of the people you hear about are bad, like especially like the Santa Muerte. Everybody has her soul, like, oh, she's a devil and she's a demon, and she's just an angel. She's an angel of death. There's nothing wrong with that. Death is just transitioning. That's another thing. People are so scared of death, and I don't understand why. I understand you leave this world, this realm, and you think you're never gonna see. I get it. You know what I mean? Everybody. I'm not gonna. That's another topic for another day, because that's a whole other thing. But she's just, all she does is what the angel of death does is she just helps souls cross over safely to the realm, to go where they gotta go in the spirit realm, right? She just helps them to cross over. She doesn't. She's not gonna sit there and haunt you. If it's ready for you to go, then you're gonna go. You know what I mean? No matter what. She's just doing her job for the Most High. That's another thing. People look at her like she's the most evil thing in the world. She's just doing her job. Just like Archangel, okay, like Archangel Michael, he comes down and he protects us, right? Everybody sees him in a good light because he fights for us. But if everybody looks at the Santa Muerte, what she does is she helps us when we leave our vessel. She helps us to safely go to the spirit realm, and people don't see it like that. They just see, oh my God, she's coming for me, and you know what I'm saying? Like, people are so mis I don't know, they're just so misinformed. The way the world has, the people, not the world, but the way people have turned people against their spirituality is amazing to me. How we have not caught on to that by now. But if we look inside ourselves and we sit down and we start to think about, because we're spirit, we all have to know we're spirit, of course, before we're flesh. So then where did everybody else come from? We're all spirit. So where does spirit come from? Spirit realm. Okay, then why don't y'all start looking to spirit, the spirituality, and look upon what's in there, because we're spirit before we're flesh. We come from that. We come from that realm, the unseen realm. We come from there. So we have to start honoring our ancestors, and I'm glad that I'm awakened, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will understand what I was saying right now. If you understand me, you understand me. If you don't, I'll come back on here, and it's not. It's a process, to accept your journey and to accept your mission for the most high. And it's. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. It's hard because you gotta you gotta detach from all the worldly things. You gotta detach from. I'm not saying that take your clothes off and walk naked around the house or walk naked out and be in the street. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, the things, the wants, like, expensive things, like party favors, like lust. I'm talking about, like, partners and all that stuff, the things we covet, right? Basically, the things we covet, the false pleasures that we put in our body, those two, you know what I mean? Because that doesn't. We need to have a clean vessel at some point to open up our body and our mind to spirituality. That's just in my opinion. I know some people smoke. I know some people, they smoke their party favor or whatever. Now that's a whole other thing. Like, some people, it helps them to open up their minds. I don't know. Me, I don't. I used to. I don't. I don't do that anymore. Um, you know, um, that's just. I just wanted to come on here and talk about that because it's like a message I got from somebody, and it just told me, like, talk about the ancestors, because a lot of us have bad raps that we were evil, and they enslaved a lot of us. You know what I mean? A lot of us were enslaved. A lot of the ancestors were enslaved. They were enslaved. We were slaves for a long time. They took away our spirituality. They took away our beliefs, and we had to either become, Christians, or we had to become this or that. At that time when they started, boxing everything into religion. And I have nothing against religion. I'm just saying that, a lot of the leaders and people were in power and control at the time. They did that, and they didn't let us honor our beliefs, which was spirituality, which was, spirituality mainly. And it was like you couldn't be spiritual. Now, another thing, the word witches, I don't like the word witches because that sounds really harsh. I would rather call them magicians, honestly. Um, Now, what they would do, they got burned at the stake and stuff. And that was only because they worked for the Most High God, unless they were doing bad, conjuring up bad stuff. That's a whole other thing. But a lot of them worked with the earth, with herbs. They didn't go and hurt people. They were actually doing things. A lot of them, not every single one. Like I said, we have practitioners now that are doing really bad things to alter people's lives, money, their spiritual path, all that stuff. There's dark and there's light. Like I said, there's people doing good, people doing bad. It depends on the person doing it. Now, the magicians back in the day, the ones that got burned at the stake, they were only trying to. There were a lot of them that I know were trying to help others, and they were doing it with herbs. They were, with candle magic. They were doing, pendulum, and they were doing it so that we could connect with the spiritual realm. And of course, a lot of people didn't like that because then they couldn't control. They couldn't control us. And what they do, they burn them at the stake. A lot of them, and that's the truth. You know what I mean? I mean, that was uncalled for. You know what I mean? A lot of the people that were slaves, a lot of them, they were very spiritually inclined, and no, they took away our spirituality. I mean, real bad. They took it away from us so we wouldn't be connected to the Holy Spirit or the Great Spirit, or you know what I mean. Our and God is within. Of course, we all have divinity. It's up to us to choose to walk in that divinity. Um, But I just wanted to tell y'all, I just wanted to come on here to, I really wanted to, emphasize about people, if y'all are listening to me, and if y'all are spiritual, and y'all know about your ancestors and the people from way back when, fourth generation, second generation, she said, then start speaking out about that, they weren't evil. They weren't bad. It was bad on the person that was using those entities and energies to push bad and do that. You know, it's not everybody wants to make it look like, oh, they're evil, they're bad, and don't invoke them. Don't, my ancestors, my guardian angels, they protect me. They protect my home. They protect where I live. They protect, my cats. And I know they're here because I could feel them. They're all around me. They protect me. You don't have to look at spirituality in a. Don't be scared of your. We're all spiritual. Don't be scared of your spiritual side. Don't be scared of your spiritual side. We're all spiritual. We're all spirit. We are all spirit. This is just a vessel. This isn't it. This isn't the end of our life. When this right here, when our vessel, when this our carcass is done with, our spirit never dies. Our spirit never dies. It moves on to other realms, to other places, and y'all need to start looking up on that, about the spiritual aspect of yourself. Read upon the spiritual aspect of who you are. Don't just, okay, I'm here, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a judge, or you know what, I'm a big time this and that. What about your spiritual side? You know what I'm saying? What about who you are spiritually? Who are you spiritually with the Most High? Because we have spirit and we have physical. That's what we have. We have the physical realm and we have spiritual realm. You know what I'm saying? And everybody is like, they're neglecting their spiritual side, who they are. We're all spiritual. Y'all need to start look into who you are spiritually. Start looking into who you are spiritually. I'm not saying you gotta go be spirit. You don't gotta be spiritual, but you are spiritual, and just look at who you are spiritually. I mean, you can still be Catholic, Christian, whatever you are. Islam. I mean, I'm just saying. But if you are a certain religion, then there's a spirit, and you have a spirit, right? So why don't you start looking into who you are spiritually? Look into your spiritual ancestry. Look into you harm the spirit realm. All of us are spiritual, and all of us have a calling. All of us have a mission. If we choose to walk in it, is entirely up to us, because we have free will. That's one of the universal laws. That's one of the things, that we have free will. And I've just learned a lot on my spiritual path, and I have so much more to learn. I'm grateful to the Most High. You know, yes, I'm a star seed. Yes, I'm one of the remnant. I'm one of the chosen. I'm here to try to educate and help uplift others, because nobody did it for me. You know what I mean? I never even went to church unless somebody died when I was young, so I wasn't, and I used to be Catholic, I mean, that I remember, but I wasn't even religious. I was just brought up knowing I was Catholic, but we never went to church unless somebody died. That was the only time I went to church. So really, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? As I got older, I was Christian. And then I realized, like, God, there has to be more to this. Like, you know what I mean? And then I started looking to spirituality. I actually started looking to who I was, because something told me I had a calling on my life. You know what I mean? And I started looking to who I was spiritually, and I started to like, you know what, well, who am I? You know what I mean? I started reading upon books, looking at, just looking into things, and I started saying, I would get, little nudges here and there. But when I was younger, I always had experiences with passed over people. Like, I really did. I would see entities and energies when I was young, um, and I always saw. Okay, I guess you could say I saw dead people. I don't know, but it was true. And when I was young, my mom said I had an invisible friend that I would always talk to. But I was probably a guardian angel, right? Um, and my mom would dismiss it, and she sort of kind of got me. I guess you could say they got me into the form of being scared of the spirit. You know what I mean? Like, I was scared. Because they made me feel scared about it. But we're spiritual before we're human, and you could be whatever religion you want, but if you're also a spirit inside, find out who you are spiritually, who you are in God, because, you come from the Most High, right? So he's all spirit, right? He's all spirit. Well, he created us. So find out who you are in him before you came to this realm to be a human, and just, what I'm saying? So those are just things that I wanted to come out here and say. And I really I'm going to have to come back out here maybe and I didn't disappear. I don't always come out here. I just come, to give out a little information that gets put into my heart to come out here and speak up. I'm trying to let everybody know that we need to connect with our spirit, with the spirit again. We need to connect with the great spirit. We need to connect with the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. We need to connect with spirit. We need to connect with our spiritual side. We need to break down all these constructs of materialism. And see, as centuries went on, and lifetimes went on, we were like this with spirit. And as it went on, it went separate, 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 and we got lost along the way, not knowing who our ancestors are, who it is spiritually that we needed to connect to, because they wanted to keep us so busy with paying bills and being scared, and having to give somebody power and control over us. They made us feel like we had to go to them instead of going to our spiritual side. Because let me tell you, if you look into your spiritual side and you start opening up to that side and you start realizing who you are in God, he supplies all your needs. And I know it sounds really, really cliche, but he really does. He really truly does. You know what I mean? All you gotta do is surrender. And if you don't know how, you ask him to help you, to show you how to surrender. And he will. It's not gonna be overnight. It's not like, okay, that's it. I'm clean. I don't gotta do this. It doesn't work like that. It took me a long time to figure out who I was in God, and to figure out that I have ancestors and angels and spirit guides watching out over me and keeping me safe. And I'm here to fulfill my calling. I'm here to uplift people that need uplifting. I'm here to help others. I'm here to try to do my best to do His will. His will, her will, His will, because we all know that God is both male and female, right? Both aspects. Um, so I just wanted to come out here and I wanted to just come out here and tell y'all that about the ancestors, and about from back in the day, about the Ifas, the Orishas, you know what I mean? They're not all evil. It's just they're only evil if the person that's sending them out to do evil things, you know what I mean? That's what it is. It's the human being behind the act that is performing that act. And let me tell you, witchcraft of any form, if it's dark magic to hurt somebody in any way, it doesn't pay. It never does. Um, So I just wanted to come out here, and I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful night. And I hope that on the sound of my voice, if y'all are still here, I'm sending you all very positive energy, very peaceful energy. And I'm hoping that in some way, shape, or form, something will heal you in some way, or help you in some way, to give you some kind of answers to spirituality, what it really is. It's not scary, it's not evil, it's you. We're all spirit. We all come from the Most High, which is spirit. How is it that we're scared of ourselves? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we're this flesh, this carcass. This is something that we're spirit, carrying a body around, having a human experience, but we're spirit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just hoping that I hope that I'm coming. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Or at least I hope one of you understands what I'm trying to say when I say that we're spirit before we're flesh, and for us to look into our spirituality, not saying that you got to be a witch or you warlock. None of that. See, all that too is taken out of context, only because the people that are doing evil things, they brand themselves as that, and people are scared. And I mean, if you're doing bad things and you believe it, someone's doing bad things to you and you believe in the Most High, then don't even worry about it. You just ask Him to protect you, and He will. Because people don't think people don't believe in any of that. They don't believe that. People are too busy looking with these eyes and not this eye. People need to start looking with this eye instead of these eyes, because these eyes will fool you every time. These eyes will make you covet and steer you the wrong way every single time. But if you open up to God and you ask Him to open up your eye so you can really see. You know what I mean? He will. You just gotta open up to him and surrender whatever it is because he's made me a better being than I was before. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for the lessons. I'm grateful for the heartaches. I'm grateful for the trauma because it made me a better person. It made me a better person than I ever was. And I'm just hoping that I can pay it forward to other people that want to, change or want to do better for themselves, or even if they just want to know about something spiritually. You know what I mean? Because if I have the answers, I'll tell you, and if I don't, then I will help you look for the answer as well. We'll both learn. I'm learning every day. There's a lot of people I see on TikTok and they're real good, and I can feel the energy of somebody's energy is off or somebody's energy is pure, because a lot of times when they read cards or they're doing whatever, pendulum or runes or whatever they're doing, it depends on the energy, the spirit that is taking over or speaking through that vessel. And I can tell if it's a vessel, a positive vessel or a negative vessel. You know what I mean? So it depends. It's not the person itself, it's the entity that's taking over the vessel to relay the messages using the vessel, which is the person, to give you the message. So, and tarot cards is not evil. I think same thing. All they're doing is trying to give you information about what you're asking on. And the spirit realm sees all. The spirit realm sees all, just to let you know. So you can't get away with anything because at the end of the day, everything is recorded, everything is seen. Um, it's a boomerang, right? What goes up must come down, as above, so below, from within, so without, right? So I just wanted to come out here and I just want to talk about my ancestors. That's why really I came out here. And they're not all evil. We got to honor our ancestors because a lot of them watch over us. The people, great grandmother, grandfather, sister, brother that are passed away, they're right here with us. The veil is right here. The veil is very thin, but they see everything. But okay, I'm going to see y'all later, and I just hope you'll have a beautiful rest of your night, and y'all stay safe and have a beautiful day. I'm sending all of y'all positive energy. I love you guys. Have a good night. Okay, I don't know. I can't get over here.